Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Ray Harvey here of the Justin Harvey Show. We have a special video edition of my show, which is very, very rare and extraordinary. And tonight we have Senior VP of Nuance, Peter Mahoney, and Peter Mahoney is one of my idols. So, without further ado, we are going to talk Dragon tonight, and let's call Peter Mahoney, shall we?
Hey, Justin.
Hey, Peter, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome to this special video edition of my show.
Excellent. Well, glad to be here.
Excellent. And I gotta say, Peter, in the technology field, you are my all-time hero.
Well, that's nice of you to say.
So how is everything tonight?
Everything's going pretty well. I was able to make it home through the snow to my from my office up north of Boston to my home, which is just outside Boston to the west.
Oh, amazing! And I gotta say, Peter, I enjoy reading your tweets and your Facebook posts, and I see that you fight for people's disabilities rights from your post, and I really admire you for that.
Well, good. Yeah, you know, disability rights is something that's really plays a really important role in my life and my work. You know, my one of my kids, my middle daughter, has some physical disabilities, and I've always worked with accessible technology back since the 1980s for a long, long time. So it's always been an important part of what I do.
Oh, absolutely, and I wanted to personally say, I don't know if your daughter's going to see this video or not, but I wanted to personally say to her, congratulations for being a member of her favorite hockey team.
Excellent. Well, now I have to show her, so I will definitely show her. Yeah, she's in this great program from an organization called Team Impact that matches kids with special needs with college sports teams, and she's part of the Northeastern University women's hockey team. So it's a great program. She loves it.
Awesome. So, Peter, are you ready to talk Dragon, my friend?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Could you start with telling us the history of Dragon, and then go into the history of Dragon Dictate, because some people actually do get confused between the two different programs, even though they do the same thing. They get confused by, because Dragon Dictate is for Mac, and then Dragon Naturally Speaking is for Windows, which I've seen both sides of the platform because I've used both, obviously. So.
That's right. Well, in fact, I'll make it even more confusing for you, because in the past, back in the early mid-1990s, there was another product called Dragon Dictate. And originally, Dragon was made by a company called Dragon Systems. And Dragon Systems was a company out of the Boston area, and it was founded by a couple, Jim and Janet Baker, very smart people, who had been involved in speech recognition technology for many, many years. And they formed a company called Dragon Systems. And I think the story I hear is that they got the name because they like Chinese history and Chinese art. And the dragon was, of course, a character that's used in a lot of Chinese culture. So that's why they used it to name their company. And they made a product originally called Dragon Dictate, and Dictate was the first version of the product that didn't allow you to speak fluently. So what that means is that you had to say one word at a time. And And then back in 1997, they came out with the first version of Dragon Naturally Speaking. And they named it Naturally Speaking because you could speak more fluently and more naturally, and it would understand more of what you said. And it was what you'd call a continuous speech recognition system. So you can just talk and it will just understand everything that you're saying, or as much as it can. Over the years, we're now on our 12th version of the product. Dragon 12 is the latest version, 12.5, but it's the 12th major version. I guess I'll back up and say that the reason Nuance got involved is Dragon Systems was actually acquired by another company, a company out of Belgium, back around 1999, maybe 2000, right around then. And that company went bankrupt. And we bought the assets of that company, or certainly many of the assets, in an auction. And one of the things that we bought was Dragon, the piece of Dragon Systems, because we knew we wanted to have more capability in the voice recognition space. And so we've been evolving and investing in the technology since about the year 2000. And then one really important thing that happened, of course, all those years it was only available on Windows. And then back about, and I've always been a Mac user. I had one of the, 1984 was the 30-year anniversary of the Mac, right? And in 1984, I had my first Mac. And I always wanted to have a Mac product, and I think that there's a big market there. So there was a small company called MacSpeech that had taken some of the core technology that was used to build Dragon, and they licensed that from us. So that means they paid us to use some of the core things, and then they wrote an app on top of it, and they called it MacSpeech Dictate, and we ended up acquiring that company back probably about 5 years ago now is when we acquired them. So we bought the company and put a lot of effort and money and R&D into rebuilding the app to make it a little bit more consistent with what you get on the Windows product. But they're still fairly different over the years, just because the Mac operating system is different from the Windows. So that's how we got here today.
Oh, absolutely. And Peter, I gotta ask you, like with Dragon Dictate, where would you like to take it within? I'm going to just give you a timeline and I'll get your thoughts. Where would you like to see Dragon Dictate personally in like the next 5 years?
That's a great question, Justin, and it's one of the things that we think about all the time is where should this thing go? And in general, I'll tell you where we've spent a lot of effort in the technology. One, we work really hard to make it just more and more and more accurate. But there are a couple of things that I think that would make a really big difference that we'd like to add over a longer period of time. And one is a more interactive kind of personal assistant capability for the product, right? So that's, in fact, we built some of that capability with a joint partnership with Intel. So there's a product called Dragon Assistant that works on Windows today. That's a joint effort between us and Intel. And that product has some of those capabilities today. But we think that, as people get more used to having kind of a natural conversation with their devices, we think that kind of capability is important. And then the other big thing that we need to do, I think we need to really fix, is being able to transcribe conversations with multiple people, multiple speakers, and just figure out who's there. So it would be great if we could take this conversation, a Skype conversation, or even a meeting with a bunch of people, and transcribe the whole thing, really accurately with and we should be able to identify who's speaking when. And I think that would make a really big difference for accessibility, because it would allow people who have some hearing problems to be able to get the content in a more meaningful way. And then just for convenience, you could search stuff, you could go back and skim the information, so that we think that'd be really useful too. So those are a couple of big things that take a lot more research that we're working on right now.
Can I tell you a couple of features that I think would help the disabled community with Dragon Dictate?
Yeah, I'd love to hear them.
And I'll get your thoughts on it, Peter. Well, one of the biggest challenges that I face is I'm legally blind, and when I went to install the software, you know, I was almost able to install the software independently, except I couldn't read my serial number on the back because where my vision is so low. So I would love to see where you could actually take your camera and hold that serial number up, and it would scan it, and you would have your serial number put in for you, so that for people that can't read, they can still install their product independently.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And in fact, there's some pretty well-known, well understood ways to do those things. And you could do a little QR code as an example. That's sort of a custom thing. So that's an interesting idea. So we'll have to look into that one.
Oh, absolutely. And here's just another idea that, you know, I had to, like, you know, if somebody can't use a mouse, fix it to where all they'd have to say is, you know, hello dragon, and then Dictate would automatically somehow open up by itself.
Yeah, that's a great feature, and it's actually one that we've put on some other products already, Justin. So we started with some of the mobile phones. So there's an app for Android phones called Dragon Mobile Assistant, and that allows you to use what we call a wake-up word. So you can say hello dragon, and it will just beep at you and wake up, and it's always listening for that little special word. And we've also built that into this project that we worked on, the Dragon Assistant product that we worked on with Intel. And it's something that we think, for a lot of reasons, it's a really important capability. Not only for the disabled community, people who don't have the ability to use a mouse at all, as an example, but for safety, if you're using the device while you're driving, you want to be able to be hands-free and eyes-free, or just convenience. You know, you might not be in a place where you can kind of touch something.
Oh, and absolutely. And the last two features that I thought of that I must tell you about, one I mentioned last year, where you do the training process, where you could just have a natural conversation with Dragon. It would ask you questions instead of you having to read stories. That way your accuracy would be, you know, almost 100%, like me and you are talking right now. Like, you would ask me a question, like Dragon would ask me a question, and then I would, you know, respond, and then as I respond, the training access gets better.
Yeah, I think that's a great feature too, Justin. I'll tell you, there are some interesting applications for that. You know, not only is it people who have difficulty reading because of vision issues, but we have a lot of younger people, younger students, younger kids who would like to use Dragon, and sometimes they're just not as literate as we'd think, and they have a difficult time reading something for a screen, but certainly they can hear something and say it back. And that gives people the ability to write, even if they don't have the ability to read, which is a really important capability.
Oh, absolutely. And the final feature that I would love to see for Dragon Dictate is, like, a lot of people have Facebook and Twitter, and I like how you can, you know, say post to Facebook or post to Twitter. Why not somehow fix an option where you can combine the two, where you can say post to, you know, my social networks, and that way whatever you post at that particular time, it will go on both social networks.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And you may be able to do some of that with an automator script. And I'll have to have some of the technical guys look at that to see if there's a way to make that happen. Because I think that certainly is convenient. And there are a lot of third-party apps that you can use as an example that would allow you to write a post in one place and it'll post to multiple networks. So maybe that's a way to do it. So we'll have to take a look into that one too.
Oh yeah, I mean, because Peter, to be honest with you, I use Dragon 24/7, and in fact, I use it so much that I was actually able to find a bug in the program and have Nuance fix the bug.
Excellent. Do they name the bug after you or anything good like that?
No, they should have though. But
yeah, I think they probably should have too.
But that's how much I use the program, because I use it for everything, Peter. I mean, my tweets, my YouTube, everything. And I love how you can do text macros where you can say a certain command and it'll type out a bunch of stuff right then and there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a really big time saver, obviously, and I know you're a pretty prolific guy. You do a lot out there in social media, and I can see you really test the limits of Dragon because you're using it all the time, which is great.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to be a Dragon. You're known as the Dragon Dictator, and one of these days I'm going to be known as the Dragon Expert.
That's right. Well, I think you're pretty close.
So, yeah, I'm getting there. It's just there's some features that I still don't understand, completely, but I'm getting there. So.
Yeah, and it's a very deep product. There are a lot of capabilities, and most people don't know 100% of it. But what people do is they typically find the area that is most relevant and important for them, and then they learn that piece really well. But it's pretty broad. It's pretty hard to know all of it. The people who know it best are the ones who write all of our user manuals and all our documentation, and the ones who do all the testing, because they have to go through every single feature and make it all work.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I think me being a beta tester would be a good job for me, because I would know what Dragon Dictate needs or something to improve for the disabled community.
Yep. Well, we'll definitely keep that in mind when we do some testing of new versions. Well, I'll let them know that you'd be interested in checking it out for some of the new versions that come out.
Oh, absolutely, and talk to my audience about the famous microphone that you like to use in your videos, because I know you use like a handheld mic. That's your favorite?
Yeah, I use a bunch of different microphones. Actually, and you reminded me. I've been remiss. I haven't done any updated Ask the Dictator episodes, but I'm planning some new ones. So I'm going to get some new ones out there. I'll tell you the mics that I use. I use a little handheld microphone that Philips makes called a speech mic, and I like that one a lot, just because it's easy for me, because I'm often dictating in the middle of the day. I may not be wearing a headset, but I just pick up the microphone and I dictate. So for me, that's kind of handy. If you're doing a lot of dictation, though, I like to be able to wear a headset of some kind, just because I don't have to hold anything in my hand. But for that sort of ad hoc picking up and just doing a little bit of dictation during the day, I like that capability. The other thing I use is the Dragon remote microphone app for my iPhone. So that's one that I like too, and that's a little app that runs on your iPhone, and you can just have it running there on your phone, and you connect over Wi-Fi, and it allows you to use the microphone in your phone. So I use a bunch of different ones.
That's actually one of my favorite apps, because I've been using that on my iPad for the past few months, and it seems to work really great with Dragon Dictate.
Yeah, it works pretty well, and some of it is some of the microphones in the tablets and the smartphones these days are so good because you're using it for other applications that it gives Dragon a really good signal, and a lot of people like the ability to not be connected, to have no physical connection like a USB cable or something like that, and in the past you used to have to use Bluetooth. And Bluetooth is, to the new version, has a wideband Bluetooth, which gives you a better signal. But Bluetooth compresses the audio down, so you don't get all the information, which means that sometimes it's not quite as accurate if you use a Bluetooth connection. And if you're using Wi-Fi, that actually will be better because it's got more sort of a fatter pipe to send the information down, which means that you're going to get higher fidelity audio. So Dragon is hearing you more clearly, which means that it's going to be more accurate.
And I don't know how difficult this would be because, I'm not in your position and, I don't work at Nuance every day, but I would love to see, how they have the Dragon dictation app for the iPad and the iPhone. I would love to see some way that you can add your dictation and all your commands from your computer to that little app so that you still have all your customizations and everything and use it on your iPad or iPhone.
Yeah, so especially because I know it sounds like you use some text shortcuts as an example, right? It would be handy probably to be able to use those on your iPhone or your iPad. That's something that we've looked at too, because we think a lot of people, especially as they start to customize their profile, if it learns, not only does it learn your voice better and better, but also if you add these custom things, it'd be nice to be able to use it in multiple places.
Now, let me ask you this, Peter, and this one might take you a minute to think, and it may not. Does Dragon Dictate have the capability to do the command? Remember when you did an episode, I think it was for Valentine's Day, where you had it set up to where you would say a certain command, and it would be a Valentine. You would see like a Valentine heart.
Yep.
Can Dragon Dictate? Does Dragon Dictate have that capability of doing that as well?
Yeah, it can. So you can use basically you'd have to do you can use an automator script to do that, but you can create custom commands with Dictate, and you could make it do something like that. It's probably a little more straightforward to do in the Windows product because you use what we call a text and graphics command, and that allows you to take a combination of text and pictures and images and put them into a document. So it's a little more built in the way the Windows product works, but you could do it. It's just a little trickier to do it on the Mac.
Yeah, I mean, are y'all in the process of maybe making that easier for folks to do that in the near future on the Mac?
Yeah.
System?
Yeah, we've looked at that. We've looked at making the commands like those a little bit easier. There's some other things that we're focusing on first for the Mac product, but that's certainly one of the things that's on the list of things we'd like to do.
And I noticed everybody was like, they was freaking out when Mavericks first came out because y'all had to fix it to where it was compatible with Mavericks, but I would tell people, calm down, Nuance will fix it, they'll work on it because I've noticed y'all are a wonderful company and I love all you guys.
Well, that's great. Yeah, it's of course, whenever someone who makes an operating system makes a lot of changes like that, which they have to do to add new capabilities to their products. Sometimes it takes us a little while to do some of the work we need to make it compatible, especially with a product like Dragon, because it's very tightly connected to what the operating system does. So from time to time, it takes a little bit of work, but we usually come out pretty quickly and come up with a fix. And in most cases, we get early access to the developer access to the versions of the operating system, but there's still testing we have to do with the final version, so sometimes there's a little overlap.
Oh yeah, it's like everybody was like freaking out, and it's like I was like, calm down, they'll fix it, technology
That's right.
takes time. So, and also, Peter, I thought this was interesting too. Your technology is not only on computers, not only on handheld devices, but now it's getting into cars.
Mm-hmm. It's also on TVs, believe it or not. So it's into cars. So a lot of cars, pretty much any new car that you buy these days that has voice capability has our software inside it. And the early versions were pretty simple. All you could do is you could dial a name in your address book or something like that. But the latest versions are very sophisticated, and they're hooked up to things like internet radio, so you can search for songs and even send emails or text messages by dictating in your car. So it's pretty fancy. And we've seen the same thing in televisions. We even have a smart watch. I don't know if you saw the YouTube video I did, but there's a demo of a smart watch that allows you to dictate and command. You can even control your lights in your house with your watch.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's amazing, because I would like to see like your TV capability to be in all TVs somehow, to where everybody could use that capability, instead of having to buy like a certain TV and stuff, because I would love to test that out.
Well, yeah, in fact, the latest version of DirecTV, if you're familiar with that service,
yes,
the latest version of...
That's what we have, actually.
Oh, okay. I think it's DirecTV is the one that actually has an option for all the voice control, and that uses our software, and it works on any TV that connects to DirecTV. So that's something you can check out.
Definitely. I mean, Nuance is getting into everything, which I think is very, very wise, because it's going to really, I think in the end, it's going to turn our world more tech-like, I mean,
Absolutely.
And a lot easier, because I would love to see, like on the Mac, to where you can password protect your profile, and then your voice can be your password. Dragon Dictate.
Right.
Because one of the challenges I thought that needs to be fixed is, like, say like you have like a little kid who decides to get on your computer and play. Well, once they accidentally delete your Dictate profile, you got to start all over again.
Yep. That's right. That's right. And a password, there's technology we call voice biometrics, and that's the ability for the system to understand your voice just like a fingerprint. It's a voice print, and we use that in some of the TVs. So you can figure out, you can say, go to my favorite home screen, and it will recognize that it's you and not someone else in your family. So we can do some of that today. We haven't put it all on the desktop product, but in the meantime, you might want to put a password on your computer just in case someone gets in there and starts monkeying around.
Oh, I have actually, just in case, because you never know. Because the more secure that you can be, the better off you're going to be.
That's right, absolutely.
So, but with Dragon, it makes it so much easier, because I've made so many like shortcuts. I can just say my Twitter page or my social networks, and boom, it types out all my links and everything. I mean,
that's great.
It's just amazing what you guys have done with Dragon. And also, Peter, tell my audience how you got involved with, Nuance and Dragon, from the start.
Sure. So I've worked with software and high-tech companies for a long time. In fact, I alluded to this earlier, I started working with assistive technology back when I was in college. I went to a school called Boston College, And while I was there, I worked with some technology that allowed people who had limited mobility to interact with a keyboard. So it was basically a keyboard for people who could only do sort of one mouse click. So I helped in the development of that technology back a long time ago. And then for years, I was working for a number of different tech companies, and then back in 2004 was when I started getting involved with Nuance, and a very good friend of mine had worked for Nuance for a number of years, and in the last company I was working with was sold, and so he knew I was available, and he called me up and said, "Hey, would you like to work here?" And I said, "Sure." That's how I got involved. So I've been there for just under 10 years now. In June will be my 10-year anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary. I mean,
A little early.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
We'll have to have an anniversary show in June.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can plan that. I mean, if we can fit that into your schedule, we
That's
can
right.
definitely plan that, Peter, because you're always welcome on my show. And I gotta say, ever since I moved it to YouTube, it's getting a lot more. It's getting a lot more exposure, and I've talked to a lot of. Surprisingly, I've talked to a lot of celebrities and a lot of different big time martial artists. So yeah, the show is really doing good since I moved it to YouTube.
Well, that's great. Well, we'll have to tell people all about it from our social media channels too. So hopefully we'll get you a few more followers.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the fact that you don't know. Have you ever heard of the movie Bloodsport?
Yes, I have.
Frank Dukes has a copy of Dragon. I just have to go to his house sometime when I'm out in Seattle and help him set it up because I wanted him to be able to try the product. So
that's great.
There's one celebrity that actually does have a copy of Dragon Dictate.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of authors, a lot of famous writers use Dragon, lots of famous people, but that's really great. And you know, we've got a big office in Seattle, so if he needs someone in Seattle to help him, we can probably have someone help him in the area too.
Oh, absolutely. It's like if you guys had a office in West Virginia, I would be the first one at the door waiting to work for you guys.
Excellent. Well, we don't have one in West Virginia yet.
Not yet. Those folks, he said,
right.
Not yet. So
That's right. No announcemos to make.
Exactly. But if you do one of these days, Peter, I want to uncover the story. That would be great.
All right. We'll give you the exclusive on the West Virginia office opening.
Oh, that would be great. And I just finished watching my one of my favorite interviews that you did with on the Dr. Steve show. That is one of my favorite interviews.
Excellent. Well, he was a great interviewer, and that was a lot of fun to do too down in New York.
Absolutely. And I do hope that one of these days, Peter, that one of these days I get to meet you and actually see the inside of Nuance. See what goes on behind the scenes.
That's right. Well, if you ever can make it up to Boston, we'll be glad to give you a little tour.
Oh, that would be great. I'm gonna make that one of my goals, actually, Peter.
Put it on your bucket list, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Because any time that someone has said to me, "Oh, you can't do this" or "You can't do that," I prove them wrong, and I go out and do it. So
that's awesome. That's great to hear.
But Dragon has really helped me be more productive, and it helped me talk to famous people actually on my Facebook and Twitter, and it helps me organize my shows. You just don't realize how many doors you guys have really opened up for me.
Well, that's great. We're really glad we can do it, and I'm glad you get so much out of it. And you're a super power user, which is really great because you really you know all the tricks and can tell us some of the things that will make the product even better over time, which I really appreciate.
Oh, absolutely. And can you tell us how you got the nickname the Dragon Dictator?
Yeah, I kind of made it up. It was sort of a silly thing, and when I took over the Dragon group back in about 2008, I wasn't always running the Dragon part of the business, but when I took it over, I started sending out emails to all the group that was involved with Dragon, and I decided I should probably have a nickname, and so I made that up since it was sort of a play on words, right? And that's where it came from.
Wow, that actually fits you, and I love the theme song that you picked for your series, and I'm actually gonna stick it behind your intro that you made me last year for my radio shows, and
Great.
So, and I may even stick it in this stick it in this video somehow. So.
All right, that sounds good.
So, and is your son still using Dragon? Is he still?
Yeah, he uses it from time to time. I've got my son. I did a video with him back a long time ago. He's a lot bigger now. He's 17 now.
Wow.
And so I'll have to do an update video with him. And I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and she uses it some. And I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and she uses it a little bit too.
Now, I do enjoy your videos of your one daughter that you make for her, of her going around the city in her wheelchair, and I saw her brand new wheelchair that, you know, it'll stand up for her. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was she's very excited about it. She just got it a couple of months ago, and it's nice to be able to change her perspective a little bit. You know, she can reach things she couldn't reach before, and have more of a face-to-face conversation. So it's been a lot of fun for her.
How did she get to meet her favorite women's hockey league? Because I think that's an inspirational story, that needs to be shared.
Yeah, so she actually, my wife took her to an event for kids with spina bifida, and that's the birth defect that my daughter was born with. It's a spinal cord defect. And at this weekend, they had a sort of weekend retreat. They had someone come from this organization called Team Impact, and they spoke about it. And my wife thought it was really interesting, so she gave them a call, and they were really excited to hear, and they're looking for more people to participate. And they just they've got a long list of college sports teams who want to be matched up with people who can join their team. So that's how we got connected, and it wasn't really her favorite team until she started getting involved with them. But now she's real fast friends with all the women on the team. So it's been really nice.
Well, that was amazing. I mean, it was very inspiring for me to see and everything, because I think some people don't think that disabled people like us are capable when we are very capable.
Absolutely. I'm amazed all the time at what people can do who have some extra challenges to deal with, and people just when they put their mind to it, they can get almost anything done.
Mm-hmm. And Peter, have you ever been to the West Virginia area before, or?
I can't say I have. I've been to the closest I've been is Virginia. My dad actually lived in Virginia for a number of years in Northern Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C. But he moved back a few years ago. He lives in Boise, Idaho now. But that's about the closest I've got. Never been to West Virginia.
Well, if you're into country life, like cows and horses, you need to come to West Virginia. So
that's where you find all that stuff. You don't find a lot of cows in Boston, although they say the city of Boston was designed by cows, because when back in the 17th century, when people just started moving here, they had the cattle paths as what they eventually paved, and that became the roads. So that's why the roads are so twisty in downtown Boston.
Now, just to clarify for my audience, when you said that you would like to see Dragon Dictate be more interactive, do you mean that you would like to see it be more like mobile assistant, to where it would talk back to you, Or
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a, people expect more and more to have kind of a two-way conversation with technology, and I think that kind of capability would be great for Dragon.
okay, and here's what I call the $1,000,000 question, because I think this is interesting, even though I've not seen the film yet and I want to see it. Do you think that people will expect more out of Nuance, after they see the movie Her? Because they recently made a film called Her, and it's basically, this guy makes this mobile assistant and falls in
Yeah, he
love.
falls in love with his operating system is what happens. And yeah, I think that that's one example of many where people have, I think, pretty high expectations for how well technology should work because they see things like that, and there's more and more evidence of this kind of technology showing up in TV commercials, as an example, which is great for us because people just expect to be able to talk to different kinds of devices. And so, yeah, we think that people will expect it even more. And I don't know if anyone's going to fall in love with it, but they might like it a lot.
Well, you never know, Peter. I mean, it depends on what type of voices you use
That's true.
and type of setups, but I would love to see it be able to actually, I could say hello, Dragon, and it would actually say good morning, Justin, or be a little more interactive.
That's right. That's right. Well, in fact, there's a way to do that. There's a way to create commands that will have Dragon speak back to you. So that's, but it's only custom commands in the current version. But there's a lot. I think a lot we could add by having that kind of interactivity.
Absolutely, because I use Siri sometimes, but I'm like, I wish Dragon Dictate could be sort of like Siri and have a voice to go along with it,
Yep. Absolutely.
It makes it more personalized, and it makes it more fun, And it'd be more fun for kids.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
So what is your favorite out of all the features there is? What is your number one Dragon feature that you like?
That's a great question. There's so many. It's funny. There's so many little things that I like about it. It's so hard to say, Justin. I don't know if there's a single favorite feature that I have. It really depends on what I'm doing at any given time. I do like the ability for it to transcribe recorded audio. Because I find that to be really handy if I'm out and about somewhere and I want to record something that's a little bit longer than a note I might dictate on my smartphone, and then have it transcribed later. So I think that's a great feature that I really like.
Oh, absolutely, and I think it would be cool if eventually with Dragon you could have your own Dragon custom emails, like for example, you could have like your own Dragon email address, like the Dragon Master Justin Harvey at dragon.com or something. There's so much more that you could do with the product. I mean, it's great as it is now, but there's so much that you could really do.
Yep, there's always a lot to do. We have to pick the things to work on that we think most people will get a lot out of, but a lot to do.
So, like with Dragon Dictate, what is the biggest challenge right now that y'all are facing with Dragon Dictate?
I think the thing that Dragon Dictate that I think one of the bigger gaps between the Windows product and Dragon Dictate is that the Windows products do something that's called tracking. And what tracking is Windows will tell you all the different controls and menus and links on your screen, and it makes it so that you can actually say almost anything on your screen instead of clicking the mouse. And the Mac operating system just works a little bit differently, and we don't have that capability. And we think, especially for people who are total hands-free users, it's really important to be able to have that kind of functionality where you can basically control everything on your computer with your voice. And if there's that tracking capability, that would help.
Okay, and one of my biggest questions for you, I have to ask this because it's for my audience so that they'll understand, because I hear a lot of people saying this, Nuance should have made Dragon Naturally Speaking for, both platforms instead of having Dragon Dictate. I mean, was that ever a thought to actually have Dragon Naturally Speaking transferred instead of using Dragon Dictate? What was the biggest challenge with that? I mean, can you kind of take me through that, Peter?
Sure. Well, the main difference is that if you think about it, Dragon's a product that allows you to control your computer really through the operating system. And the operating system on the Mac is just so different from the operating system on Windows devices that it really can't have the same kind of features because everything works differently. So you couldn't really take what happened on the Windows product and make it all work. You have to rebuild from the ground up. So what we did is we took the core capability, and we had a start from this company that we acquired that had built an app. Then we've added more and more capability to get there. But because of the kind of application that it is, it really has to be completely built from the ground up to work on a new operating system.
That makes sense, because I got to be honest, when I first got Dragon Dictate a few years ago, I was kind of disappointed because I still feel that, that it's still lacking some features that, Dragon Naturally Speaking has.
Yeah, it still is, definitely. There's some things, they're different products, right? So I think the Dictate product for the Mac has some really nice integration with automation scripts. So I think that's a capability that isn't the same on the Windows platform. But the Windows platform has a lot of things like that tracking, the ability to sort of say menu items, and instead of having to click the mouse, and as well as a number of different compatibility capabilities, some of the natural language commands that you can do on Windows. So there are a lot of things that just don't exist on the Mac product yet, but we're still working on adding more and more capability to make them similar.
Absolutely. And what do you think of, and how hard would this be to implement? What do you think of this feature, like the ability to take your own text and make it as big as you need it, like your typing style with Dragon? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, when you type something with Dragon, to be able to like change the font size of what you're typing on, like on the page, like in Facebook or Twitter. That way, that it's easier for them to see what they are typing, to be able to choose what size their default typing style would be.
Yeah, and you can do that, Justin, in some apps, right? So you can do that in Microsoft Word, as an example. You can change the size. But some of that is really left up to the application that you're in. So if you're in Facebook, Facebook is pretty limited with the kind of control you have over the way that the app looks. Certainly you can change your browser settings, but you really are somewhat limited by the application and the website itself.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just kind of, racking my brain. And
Sure.
For 2014, is there going to be any new Dragon Dictator episodes? Because that is actually one of my favorite series.
Yes, you will definitely see more Ask the Dictator episodes. So we're in the planning stages now, and you'll see some. It'll probably in the next couple of months we'll start them up again, and then hopefully we'll get on a little bit more regular pace so that you can see we'll have lots of new episodes because there's lots to talk about.
Oh, absolutely, and talk a little bit about. I know every year, y'all do a big giveaway every year to where you do a video or write something, and you could win. You could win like 3 years of a free copy of Dragon, or like an iPad was given 1 year, I believe. Yep. That's one of my favorite contests.
Yeah, that contest we call the I Speak Dragon contest. And it's one of my favorites too, because the way it works is we do it every year. And the way it works is we have people submit stories about how they use Dragon and in a number of different categories. And then we pick a number of them and vote on them and pick winners in a few different categories, and we give away some pretty good prizes, and it's great because it gives people an opportunity to tell us what they like about it. We learn a lot about how it's impacted people and what they like and what they don't like, and so it helps us a great deal, and it's a fun contest.
Oh, absolutely. And also on the Facebook page, they do giveaways on Fridays a lot, and it's really helped me a lot too, because I've won the contest at least once. So,
excellent. Well, I don't think you're supposed to win more than once, so I won't tell anyone. But I don't think anyone's keeping very close track either, to tell you the truth. But keep trying.
But what I would do is I would only try yearly, Peter. Like if a new version come out each year, then I would probably try again, but who knows?
Yeah, that's true. Then we'd be all right with that.
But I think that would actually be fair, don't you? I mean, to at least try once a year. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because actually, what's funny, Peter, is I've had people from Nuance call me all the time, and they'll be like, can you buy this copy of Dragon? And I'll be like, I already have that. And they're like, well, on our records it shows that you have this version. And I'm like, I won it in a Facebook contest. And they'll sound so disappointed that they didn't make that sale. So
that's great. That's great. I think they'll get over it.
Yeah, but I think it's great that y'all do giveaways and, you do your Facebook pages. But if you had to choose, Peter, which is your favorite, Twitter or Facebook, and why?
That's a good question. I like them for different things. I like Facebook because it's a little bit more of a community, and you get people interacting a little bit more. And with Twitter, it's sort of a way to broadcast out information. So they're really very different. They're really different kinds of applications. Where Facebook is much more interactive. But Twitter reaches a broad audience and gets forwarded on pretty quickly, so it reaches lots of different people. But they're really very different applications.
Absolutely, and I know you're gonna find this amusing, but I was so excited to set up this interview with you at this time that I remember last year you telling me wait till the beginning of the year and we'll set up something. Well, just as soon as the ball dropped for this year, I wrote your email and I said, it's the beginning of the year.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I do remember getting a message from you right after the beginning of the year. So yeah, you definitely followed up, which is great.
So I mean, because it was very hard for me to wait, but it was worth it. So.
Great. Well, yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we got a chance to set this up, Justin.
Oh, me too, Peter. Me too. I mean, this interview is going to go viral. I mean, it's going to go on Twitter, Facebook, and also one thing I forgot to mention. Are you going to implement something for? Even though I don't use it that often, are you going to implement something for Google Plus, since it's coming out in the surface?
Yeah, we haven't done a lot with Google Plus. We've added some capability for Gmail and Google Docs, but we haven't heard a lot of people asking for specific capability to do anything from Google Plus. So it's something that we think about, but again, we haven't seen a huge amount of demand for that. So if people are interested, they should let us know.
And one feature I wanted to ask you about fixing, since you mentioned email, one of the problems that I have seen is like it won't let me activate the address book feature because I have too many people in my email.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know there was a limitation like that. So there may be some workarounds to sort that out. But yeah, I hadn't heard of a limitation before. But if there is, then I'm sure that our technical people know about it.
Yeah, because since there's a limit, I can't say. I'll give you an example. I can't say like send email to Peter Mahoney or Colleen Hendry, because where I have too many people in my email list, Dragon will not, let me activate that feature.
Huh. We'll take a look into that for you, because I didn't realize that was an issue.
Because I think what's happened is there's actually a limit of how many people you can have in your email to access that feature.
So, yeah, we'll check that out.
Yeah, because I do know that it's been like that, and I think the first Dragon Dictate version I tried, which was Dragon Dictate 2.0.
Right.
And then you had 3. And yeah, I would love to see that little feature fixed. So.
Yep. Great. We'll take a look at that one too.
So, because I actually thought about writing Nuance about that one as well. Just shooting them an email. So.
Great, but you couldn't, because you couldn't use that feature, right?
Well, I mean, I could physically.
You could do it the hard way.
Yeah, I could do it the hard way, but I can't go like send email to Peter Mahoney or Colleen Hendry or and it's kind of frustrating because I have to physically just say jump to Gmail and then use my mouse and click who I want to email. So I do miss that feature. So, but at the same time, I don't want to drop people from my email list.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So, because I didn't know if you was having that problem or not on your side or.
No, I don't have as many friends as you do, though, Justin. So my email list is a little shorter.
Well, that is very surprising, Peter, because I could see you a very popular guy,
Well, not that. Well, certainly not that many email addresses. So I haven't run into the problem, but we'll make sure they know about it and make sure that's on a list of things to fix.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just because to me it's a little bit of a hassle to have to say jump to Gmail and then physically go in there and because I miss that feature.
Yep, I get it.
So. But do you have any
it's 8
final
o'clock.
thoughts before I let you go? Because it's 8 o'clock and.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, Justin, for setting up the interview. It's a lot of fun. You had a lot of great questions, and hopefully your audience will find some useful information out of it. And thanks so much for being a great Dragon fan and great Dragon user, and giving us lots of great suggestions. So I really appreciate your time, and it's been a lot of fun. We should make sure we do it again before too long.
Oh, absolutely, and if you want to, Peter, here's a few suggestions before I let you go. We could do a show on your anniversary if you'd like, if you have time.
Okay.
And you could share some of your favorite memories or thoughts. And
All right.
and we can do like a yearly type show where, you know, anything new happens. 2015, you come back.
That sounds good. Yeah, we'll look at both those options. I think that's a great idea.
So, because, you know, I'd have to say that you are probably one of the most popular people that comes on my show, and I love talking tech and stuff like that every once in a while, you know.
Excellent. Well, don't mix me up with the martial artist guys, because I may be able to talk tech, but I cannot handle myself in the ring. So,
so we won't expect you in the MMA ring anytime soon.
no time soon.
No time soon, folks. And
You heard it here first.
And be sure to watch Ask the Dictator, right, Peter?
That's right. Watch out for that, and hopefully we'll get that up within the next couple of months, some new episodes. Excited to get some more content for you.
Oh, absolutely, Peter. And the last thing I want to say to you, you may not have a lot of friends, but I consider you to be a friend. So.
Hey, that's great. Well, likewise to me too, Justin. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great night. And thanks again. And I look forward to seeing this when it's on your YouTube channel.
Oh, it's probably going to be up tonight, actually, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to somehow send you the file so that maybe you would want to put this on your channel as well.
Great. Okay, I'll take a look at that too.
So, but have a good evening, Peter, and don't work too hard.
All right, you too, Justin. Take care.
Take care, my friend.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Peter Mahoney. Thank you for watching.